My name's Leonie Bolt, and I went from high school troublemaker and long-time backpacker to accidental entrepreneur. After 15 years working as a professional photographer and running my own studio, I grew into becoming a personal empowerment and business mentor to help other women to follow their passions and find their purpose too. I've learnt to pave my own way through life, and now I empower others to do the same, to break through their limiting beliefs and empower them to shine. Welcome to the Empowered to Shine podcast, where we dive deep into creating a life by your own design.
Thank you for joining me today on the Empowered to Shine podcast. Today, our guest is Valentina Borbone from Banter Group. She runs her own marketing agency, which came about after becoming a mum herself, coming from big marketing agencies and realizing that her space there was done. And she's going to dive into her story a little bit in a moment. Welcome, Valentina. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me today.
So, Valentina, tell me a little bit about your story, how you started your own business, and that journey. What does that look like?
Yeah, well, I guess for me, and probably like most women, we get to a point in life where life doesn't seem to fit anymore. And for me, that was working in big agencies my whole career, and totally love big agencies and love the jump around from one category to another in any single day. And then fell pregnant. And what I worked out very quickly, and I'd seen it with lots of people in my companies before, that there isn't much of a great place for working mums, and particularly mums with young children. The demands are completely different, as you'd appreciate. You know, our kids get sick, our kids need time, our lives can't just continue the way they always were. And I definitely got hit with some challenges. I did suffer from postnatal depression. I hear that a lot, and no one ever wants to admit it. But I come from this really high-flying corporate environment, and suddenly I had this child that didn't fit that corporate environment. She also has a disability, which we didn't know straight away, but became apparent at about 6 months old. So as I'm going through the process of trying to identify what was happening with her, and that I couldn't actually really give the best self back to my agency. I also realised at that time I'm probably redundant in agency land. No one's going to hire a new mum for a number of reasons, but also because they're going to expect that I'm going to fall pregnant a second time, which, you know, who knows? And how can you hold me to account for that? And so I created an agency, what I thought was going to be something different, and we could do things differently. And I did that with a business partner. And within a few years worked out as well that all I had done was replicate the same problems before. This business partner was running an agency in the way that I didn't want to, expectations in the way that I didn't want to. And in that process of getting out of that, had a mental health breakdown and moved to the country. So I'm now in regional New South Wales, down in the Southern Highlands between Sydney and Canberra. And I took 2 years off to resettle my kids, get them into a supportive environment and a new school and things like that. And also then found myself going to a lot of coffee shops, trying to make some friends in a community that I didn't know anyone in, and then realised how badly businesses were marketing themselves. And just by being there and saying, oh, don't do that, don't spend your money doing that. Oh, that's a terrible thing to do. Oh, you've got to do 10 things before you actually, you know, spend money in this place. And then realize, well, maybe there's something in this. Maybe I'll just register a small business and help some local people. Well, in 8 months, in 6 months, we were cash flow positive. I bootstrapped the company. I had 8 employees. We were all working mums, and we're now just turned 5 years ago, 5 years old, and I've got a team of 18. We've hired our 19th person, and they start on Monday. and here we are. And
that is incredible.
And out of that team, we only have 3 guys, and we have 15 working mums. So
excellent. And I love that you're creating that supportive environment for women to work together and be flexible and work the way they want to work. That's
That
really important.
Yeah, look, that was the whole premise of Banter Group is if we're going to do things differently, what did I hate about agency life? Well, being made to feel guilty because your child is sick and getting called up from childcare, or that they just need to be with their parents, and equally children then pass on their illnesses to their parents.
Yeah.
And so it's a knock-on effect. And rather than saying, I'm hating this is not how it's supposed to be, it just is what it is. And we kind of put life first that says, look, it's hard to run a business that way. Definitely part-time teams where you prioritize family. You've got a lot of client management to get through to make sure that they're expecting their work in the same reasonable time and not being delayed by life. You know, there's that. But it's being more open and honest about what people are experiencing and finding a way to not just be empathetic to that, but be compassionate to that and take action that allows us to continue living in this beautiful regional part that we're in. We travel no more than 20 minutes to our workplace. You can work from home if that floats your boat. For me personally, that would do my head in.
Yeah.
But it's all about individual choice, and that's really what we do. So,
yeah. And you find that your team's a lot more productive when the company culture is supportive of their wants and needs and desires. You know, if you've all got the same goals in mind, then they're going to support you.
They really do. I think some businesses hate using the term "we're a family." And they say, we're more like a sports team. We don't, if you're not the highest performing, we get rid of you. And it's like, not really. We are more like a family. We can argue like a family. We fight ferociously for what we believe in.
That's powerful, though.
That is powerful, but we're respectful about the fact that this isn't a personal attack. This is about we all want to deliver this exceptional level of work and feel valued in what we're doing. And you don't have to do that in a nasty way, but how do we support each other in that? We just put each other's shoes on, really, and say, well, hang on a minute, just think about what they're dealing with at the moment. Is it any surprise that they're acting in that way? But my team support me incredibly, and it does go in swings and roundabouts. They do work. I wouldn't say they're going to kill me if I say they don't work overtime, because they do. They get rewarded for their overtime. There's no expectation for them to be working outside of hours. If they do, it's wonderful. Thank you for moving things along. You do get paid for doing that. But I don't sit there going, why aren't you online at 8 o'clock at night? And if you're still sitting at your desk at 6, which no one normally is, I'll kick them out.
Good on you.
That just tells me that people are being overworked or we're under-resourced or a process is broken down, and it's seeing that and saying, I can fix this, rather than saying, oh, get on with it, catch you at 10 o'clock.
And that's the opposite, obviously, to the way the big agencies work, is you're expected to be there until after dark and, first thing in the morning, and not thinking about what's going on outside of the office.
So there is unfortunately still a very current expectation that if you've left the office before 7, you're not busy enough. And if you're not sitting at your desk at a certain time, then you're not doing your job properly. And I just think what a 1990s way of working, to clock watch. Do you clock watch when I am working at 10 o'clock at night? I might take an hour off to go to the dentist, but have you ever tried to book a dentist on a Sunday? Like, let's be realistic. You just, school assemblies aren't at 9 o'clock at night. They're at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and people want to see their children receive these awards or do their speech or their performance. And I know that I get that back tenfold. So it's just part of being.
And it's really old school way of thinking that you have to do a certain amount of hours, and the more you work, the more productive you're going to be. The more you work, the more money you're going to make. I know in myself, I've realized that's a load of hogwash. I'm quite happy to work school hours and go, well, I'm done for the day, because I've done everything that I had to do today. and I made some money. So everybody's happy.
Yeah. And look, I think that's such a nice way to look at it. And I'd love to be done at the end of the school hour, that's for sure. I'm definitely not. Please don't think that, if some people say to me all the time, how do you do all of this all on your own? I'm like, well, firstly, I don't do it on my own. I have an incredibly supportive husband that lets me leave the house at 7 o'clock in the morning if that's what I'm doing. And he will pack the school lunches and he drives the kids to school and he gets them to their singing and tennis and guitar lessons, and he cooks dinner and he does the washing, and he has a full-time job, and he's studying an MBA. Like,
wow. He's an incredible man. Hold on to him.
So many people say he's a keeper. I mean, I've been married for 17 years, but I also appreciate that not everyone has that. So I know that I'm extremely lucky, not just I've got support, I have extreme support and a very capable husband that supports me doing what I want to do. And not everyone does. So, I get this question a lot, can you really have it all? Yeah, you can, but you can't do it all. You've got to have other people helping. Now, in business, I have an accountant. If I don't have an accountant, no one here will get paid. I don't do numbers. I'm a people person. No, Xero and I are friends in the fact that I pay a Xero account. I don't love Xero. I can't deal with it. I have a cleaner that takes care of my house. I have a husband, as I said, that does my cooking and cleaning, not my cooking, our cleaning, our cooking. It's us together. And I can't do it all. I'd burn out in a heartbeat if I was expecting to do all those things.
Absolutely. And if it's not outsourcing in your business, it needs to be outsourcing at home. Like you said, getting a cleaner or a babysitter or whatever that looks like to get that support.
It is. And in building the team, it was also building in lines of management. So I can't be responsible for every person when you're at 18 people. I can't be their direct report. So how do I put in line managers that are commanding a smaller team, and then I work with them on helping them do that too? It's hard in your own business to let go.
It is.
I'm 5 years in. I want to keep growing, but grow in the right way, grow in a sustainable way. But I realized I can't wear all the hats. So hire great people. You might have heard, the really common phrase, surround yourself with people that are better than you. And that's hard as well to admit. I think they are better than me, but I'm no creative director. My creative director is amazing. I rely on her. Find the right people that you can lean on.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's not necessarily in your business, it needs to be surrounding yourself with, women networking or whatever that looks like to find your tribe and continue to find people that you can rise with and not people that are going to hold you back.
Oh, it's such a great comment. Oh, wow. Leonie, I can't tell you how many times I repeat to myself, your vibe attracts your tribe. And energy suckers. There are people out there that I enjoy spending time with, but I come away from an engagement with them just exhausted. And it's when I reflect on it, it's just a negative, I don't have, I want, but they're not actually doing anything to move themselves further to the I want. When people say to me, oh, I so wish I could live in France. I'm like, oh, is your house up for sale? Because unless you sell your house, you're not moving to France. Have you bought a plane ticket? No. Then you're not going to France. Like, if you really want something, you're going to make it happen. And I bring it back to that really simple state of, if I really want to lose weight, then I'm really going to create a diet and a meal plan and a strategy and an approach. And I apply that to business. If I really want to grow, then I really need to do these things. Wishing them upon yourself is useless. Yes, you can vision board and mood board and create goals, but unless you hold yourself accountable to those goals, all they are lovely words on a piece of paper that make you feel good, and they're empty calories. I'm diabetic, so I can't have a lot of sugar and processed carbohydrate. But when I want a sugar hit, I'm having chocolate. Trust me. But you've got to make it happen. And
exactly.
I think that's what women, we try, and we talk a great game a lot of the time. We know what we want. We get passionate about that, but sometimes we fall short of creating the steps to the reality. You can't just hope it's going to happen. It's not going to just happen.
What do you think is one of the biggest things that holds women back from taking those steps?
Imposter syndrome, 100%. And, you know, I'm sure you would have talked about this in many podcasts. Overcoming our own fear that we're not good enough, that we're going to be judged. And to be honest, we are being judged. You know, Australia has a terrible tall poppy syndrome. We do not celebrate success well. And in fact, you know, I've done a few articles recently and I'm nervous about posting them, thinking people are going to go, oh, her again. And I'm like, why can't we be more positive as a society? We're you know, you look at America and America's like, whoop, drive that. And Australia's just culture. Like, do you think you're all that? I'll show you that you're not all that. And so we do struggle to say, am I capable? And will people see my capability? And I care about what people think about me. And for me, I had this real turning moment. I've wanted a tattoo for so long. And I've always refrained because, you know, no one employs people with tattoos. That was the old school thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I decided I just don't care if people won't employ me because I've got colour on my skin. I don't want to work there. And it all happened at a time where I was joining a board for a disability service. And I'm now chair of that company, which
tattoos
is lovely,
and all.
right? Tattoos and all. And I actually positioned the tattoo on my wrist on the basis that I could cover it up with like a jewelry cuff or long sleeves. And then I just thought, oh, I so don't care. And so I got a second one and it's now traveling slightly up my arm.
That happens. And
it's not a sleeve for those playing along at home. I haven't got a big sleeve. But I started to really empower my own self to say, I am confident in my capability. I can overcome the judgment. You're not always going to like me. It's okay, because I also don't like everyone I meet. So you know what? You can't be friends with everybody. Once you get past that, it actually makes it okay. And I teach this now to my kids when they say, oh, you know, there's this kid in school. I'm like, you don't have to be friends with everyone. We constantly tell our children, you know, you should be really friendly with everybody and not ruffle feathers, or, you know, don't rock the boat. I'm like, no, not really. There are some people that are just dickheads. Just leave them alone. Just go find your people, Will, you know? And it makes it okay. You don't have to get along with everyone. And I think if the sooner we can overcome I'm not good enough, the sooner you'll actually reach the goal. I truly believe that. So yes, self-talk is part of it, but actually building your own I am worthy is the most useful thing you can do. And I mentioned early on, you know, you delve into your mental health and you scratch a surface and realize, where does this innate sense of worth come from? And you might uncover that it comes from your childhood. It comes from constantly being told something by a family member perhaps, or a teacher, or someone that you really respected and cared for, and then you've carried that your whole life with you. And unless you let that go and you do some work to recover from that, you will constantly carry that as the you know, the devil on your shoulder. And you that's a long-winded answer to why don't we succeed.
That's good. I love it. It's right on point. And you're right. Like we do carry those generational things. It can come down through your DNA. I recently heard someone explain it like the witch's wound, you know, back when they were burning all of the witches because they knew too much, or their hair was too red, or they could heal people, or, you know, whatever it looked like. If you were too good at something, you got burnt at the stake. So we carry all of these wounds.
we do. And, you know, I reflect when I wanted to start Banter and saying to my husband, we've got 2 kids in school. We've got a real mortgage. I'm about to try and embark on something that's not going to generate an income, that's going to be super stressful, that is startup. Can I do this? And he just looked at me point blank and, you know, points the finger and he said, you are capable. You can do this. You are experienced. Put your big girl pants on, shut up and get on with it. And if it all fails, I'm here to support you. You will land on your feet. And you know what? You'll just go get a job.
Yeah.
And there was this like relief moment where I thought, it's true. If everything goes completely belly up, I will go get a job in another big agency. I will hate it. I am highly employable. What have you got to lose?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What have you got to lose?
What do you
And
got to lose?
when you bring it back to worst case scenario, what is the worst case scenario? It doesn't work and you've got to go and get a job.
Yeah.
But that gives you more motivation because you're like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that.
That's right. That's right. And I had a line in the sand, different businesses have different cost structures to set up. And I had a line in the sand that said, my biggest overhead was computers. I'm in marketing. We need great machines for design. So every Mac I buy is a $5,000 investment. And that came straight out of our savings, hands down. And we ended up saying, look, we won't get into more than 60 grand's worth of debt. That goes straight into the mortgage. If it gets over that point, I'm in trouble. I don't want a $250,000 loan. I'm not going to take a business loan. I was very fortunate. We were able through our equity to put that onto the mortgage. And I didn't take a salary. I should make that really clear. I decided to grow the business, bootstrap it, and pay staff because I can't do all the things. So what's the most valuable thing I can do is pay people to help me do this. And it took 6 months before we were completely cash flow positive, which was fabulous because I paid back all my loan, my personal loan to our own selves, and we were now running a business.
Yeah.
I chose not to take a salary for 2 years. I could have.
Yeah.
I could have. I chose not to. I decided that if I'm really going to do this, I'm going to hire the next person. And instead of paying me, I'm going to pay them. And at one point, my financial planner said, so when are you going to take a salary and stop running a hobby? And I thought, oh,
that hurts.
My business a hobby. Yeah, that hurt. That's when I really thought, okay, I need to just stop having a great time and I need to turn this into a proper, profitable business where I take home a salary that supports my family. And that was a big mental shift too. That was 2 years into the journey. But I was so proud of what I was doing. I've never been driven by money. And, you said as well, when you change your expectations and change what your drive is, my drive was actually, how am I going to put my daughter into a work environment?
Yeah.
She was 6, 7 years old when we decided to do Banter. And I was faced with the fact that she may not ever find a workplace that's supportive of disability. Maybe, just maybe, I could create her a job at an agency.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to work in my agency. We've already asked her. She actually said she'd like to maybe come and help everyone with their lunch. And it's like, you know what? I actually think 19 people would love you to help them make their lunch. But she's openly said, no, I want to work at the zoo. Oh, okay. I feel like saying, we're a bit like a zoo too. Different animals. But when you're not driven by the money, you're driven by what makes you happy. And what makes me happy is knowing that I've employed 18 people and they're having a work life that they can't imagine exists. That makes me happy.
Yeah. And I love that with my team too. Like I've got a small but mighty team, but again, all mums. And, I've got a VA in the Philippines and I love that I can support her family over there because, we can all work remotely and it works for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And that's, I guess, where the focus came from. And please don't get me wrong. I completely appreciate that not everyone's in the same financial position. We do need money to live. I get it.
Yeah.
I was just able to refocus what was really important to me. And where that came from was actually the failed business relationship before Banter.
Yeah.
I was trying to cash out of my shareholding and I was told that shareholding was valued at 0. And I thought, really, we've built a business for 5 years and you don't value the business at anything? Yeah, that's a pretty big power play right there. And I was faced with, do I fight this in court? And do I really want to go to court? And the answer was no, I don't want to drag this through the most ridiculous court case. And what would be the benefit for the money? It's like, no, have the money. If the money's that important to you, it's really just not that important to me.
Yeah. And it's a really bad place to go energetically too, for the amount of time, like the time and energy you have to put into it. And
that's right.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to fight that hard. I didn't want to have to believe that you really don't value me enough that you're going to drag this through a court system. Wow. At that point, I am the bigger person. And I hate being the bigger person. I'm all about, I'll show you. But it was a moment to say, walk away. Life is too short. Walk away.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to reel it back a little bit.
Yes. Sorry.
No. I just wanted to sort of dive a little bit more into your business and who you help and who your clients are and that sort of thing. So you're in regional New South Wales. Do you work with just regional businesses, or who do you work with?
Yeah, not at all. We work with all sorts of businesses. So we love working local because that's where we spend our time, as well as families and residents in the area. And that can be anything from a local pub or a bar and rebranding their business, or designing their menus. It could be managing their social media. It could be setting them up for social media success. So we also teach people how to use social. We create templates to make it easier. We can help them with content plans, and we actually run coaching sessions on which buttons to actually press. That's the nuts and bolts of social sometimes. On the other hand, we can create full brands right from scratch, which we love doing. Our creative team's very clever like that. So creating the brands and all of the assets that go with that, building websites, taking an idea to complete execution, running huge campaigns, coming up with full campaign concepts, and then how does it run across all different types of media. And we do that with state clients, national clients, and international clients. We're really fortunate.
Oh, wow.
So we've been around for 5 years, but we've also worked with over 350 businesses in that time. And when I did basic maths, because I don't love numbers, but we were onboarding every single week, if you can think of it like that, 2.4 clients every single week for 5 years. That's the equivalent. And when you're working at that pace, because to understand a client, understand who they are, what they need, how it's going to work, is a huge amount of energy from our side. We can't just come up with a solution. You have to really immerse yourself into a business to understand who they are, what they need, and then what's the best thing to do. So creating a strategy and then implementing that strategy and doing it at a pace that works for businesses, very different on an international level versus a local Airbnb, for example. They all have different needs, and you don't have to do really big, expensive things to reach your goals. You just have to do them in the right order. That's definitely one thing. And actually do them. There's nothing worse than a strategy that goes to the bottom drawer. It's not going to change. They are goals that don't get implemented, and then you don't see a result. So we're really fortunate. We work across every industry other than automotive. That's not a shout out for the automotives out there.
Come on, everybody.
There are some sectors we're really good at, and some sectors we'd all just kind of stare at each other and go, really? And automotive is one of those sectors that we don't have experience in there. And that's one of the big areas we pride ourselves on, is to say, if we don't know what to do, or we're not the best people to do this, we're just going to tell you that. We'll give you the right partner. We'll introduce you. We know plenty of people in the game, but I'm not going to put our hand up for something we're not going to do a great job of.
And is that because you don't understand the mechanics of, automotive industry, or?
Oh, I would say if I put my mind to it, I could definitely determine what that is. But there's plenty of other people that have worked in the automotive industry through marketing and decision making, and how people are influenced by vehicles and what they're looking for, and have all of that knowledge already. In automotive, I'd be starting from ground zero and going, okay, here's a sector I've never worked on, and neither has my team. And at that point, are we over investing in our own upskill in this sector? to help a client, whereas they could actually get a better head start going to someone who's got the experience.
Yeah, yeah. And it's great to be able to refer to somebody that does have the experience. Everybody wins in that instance,
absolutely.
don't they?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's plenty of operators out there. There's plenty of cake. We don't have to eat all the cake.
That's it. That's it. And not everybody is your customer, and that's okay.
That's exactly right. And, you know, there are some times where I've had to say to a client, we're not resourced well enough to support your needs. You're going to need quick turnaround, pivot, this. I can't do that. So I'm not going to set us up for failing on both sides.
Yeah.
You'll be disappointed with what we do and how fast we can work if that's what you need. So we're just honest about it.
Yeah, fantastic. And going back to what we were talking about before with the tattoos and, you know, repelling the sort of clients that you don't want, it's just as important to say no as it is to say yes, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Some people, I'll give you a great example. We had a client that I loved the product, loved that it was solving a problem, thought this is really exciting, but completely unrealistic about their goals and didn't want to listen to our experience to kind of pull them back to ground zero and go, hang on a minute, you need a bit of reality overlaid. There was a lot of excitement about what they were doing. And they said to us in an email at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon, oh, I'm at the pub, but here's a brief. Let's talk about it on Monday. And it's like, no, firstly, your brief has about 3 words in it. Secondly, we're not at the pub, we're still working, but also our weeks are booked with client work. You don't just get to, let's just talk about your pub idea on a Monday morning that's not fleshed out.
Yeah. Give me a napkin from the pub and I'll,
Right. No real thought, no real timeline, no real budget, just an idea. And she wrote in that, I love working like this. And that was the moment. It's like, okay, we don't love working like this.
Yeah.
So she had this scattergun. I can just think up things, throw it to you and you're off. And it's like, nope, not how we work. You want the best out of us, then we work differently. And if we can't find that gel, it's okay. Let's just call it a day.
Yeah.
I can't work how you like to work. That's not bad on either side. I can't meet her demand and I'm going to constantly let her down. So let's just call it a day.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
So what are your favorite types of businesses to work with?
Oh, ones that want to listen to the expertise. I liken it to, there's 2 industries I liken it to. I don't walk into a doctor and go, I don't believe you. You know what? Thanks for your diagnosis. Thanks for your list of treatments. I'm going to do the exact opposite. And being diabetic, I've tried that approach. It doesn't work. Don't listen to Dr. Google. Go to the professional that has spent years crafting their knowledge to give you in 6 minutes at a doctor what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and why what you're proposing isn't going to work.
Yeah.
That's what I like out of a client. Someone that says, okay, this is your bag. You know what? I don't know how to run an Airbnb. I don't know how to run a financial services company. I do know how to market them. So you crack on running your business and let me crack on running your marketing. So trust me, I know what I'm doing. Here's the evidence base. Let's go. And when we have that trust, when we have that understanding of let us help you, don't be the barrier, that's when it works the best. Any industry can work.
Yeah.
You've got to have the trust.
Yeah.
And we have worked out there is a persona out there that just doesn't work for us. And I'm going to be controversial and tell you what that persona is.
Yeah, tell me.
It's a middle-aged white man that's been super, super successful and is bankrolling his side hustle new idea. He tells you that he's got all the money, all the direction. He's a quick decision maker, but he's none of those things. Yeah. He wants to run the show his way. He doesn't want your expertise, even though he tells you that. And he definitely hasn't got the same cash flow that he's proposing that he does.
Yeah.
If I could put a box around what's never worked, I come back to that same persona. And every time I get sucked in, because I'm enthusiastic and I believe in what they're trying to do. I
Yeah.
believe in their vision. That's actually probably why they're the entrepreneur that they are.
Yeah.
But they need to let the hell go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, back away, because it's just burnt us time and
Yeah.
time again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good on you for recognizing that and really putting a persona around it. Now you know what to look for.
And do you know what? That is, out of the 5 years, it's taken me 3.5 to get to that point. I kept believing, no, this one's going to be different. No, this is not the same. It is the same. It's exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, Valentina, if anyone wants to find out more about you, more about Banter, if anyone wants to reach out and want to work with you, where can they find you? What's the best place?
Yeah, so the best way is really through an inquiry through our website. It's a nice, easy email contact form, but the website's bantergroup.com.au or hello@bantergroup.com.au for our email address. I typically even answer the inquiries as they first come in. So check us out online. We're obviously in all the usual places across LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And we're just pretty friendly and normal. Can easily give you the first-hand approach if you're interested in some work.
Excellent, excellent. So if you need someone on your team to help you with marketing, that's Valentina's jam. So have a look at bantergroup.com.au and see if she can help you to work out your marketing strategy to get your business out there. Thank you so much for joining us today, Valentina. It's been fantastic talking to you.
Oh, you're really welcome. It's been really fun. You've made me think about some really reflective moments in my career. It's a good way to start the day.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. And yeah, if you want to look up Valentina, I'll have all of her details in the show notes as well. Thanks for joining us, Powered to Shine podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Shine podcast. My name's Leonie Bolt, and I'm glad that you were able to join us today. I hope you got some serious inspiration from today's episode. If you'd like to find more episodes, go to leoniebolt.com/podcasts or start subscribing on your favourite podcast streaming channel. I look forward to seeing you again soon.